Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to the Monday. Oh my gosh, what day is it? This is not helpful. Does anyone have their agenda handy? I'm so sorry. It's February 9th. Thank you. I thought I had it out and I don't. February 9th, meeting of the Dudley Board of Selectmen, Highway Commissioner and Cemetery Commissioners. It is 6:36. We are in the Dudley Municipal Complex in room 321A. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Sullivan.
thank you. I'd like to take a moment on behalf of the board and residents of the town, I'm sure, and send our condolences to staff members who had personal losses since the last time we met. Michelle Jarvis, who was our full-time admin, is now back as a part-time. Keith Gajewski, who chairs our government study committee, and Fire and EMS Chief Kochanowski. Speak for everyone. We send our thoughts and prayers and sympathies to their families. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. We're going to take the agenda a little bit out of order tonight. We're going to jump to number 5, licenses and permits. License to conduct a one-day game, commonly called Bingo, at St. Anthony of Padua Church for April 12th, 2026.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Did we mention that we're being recorded?
Oh, I don't think I did. I'm so sorry. This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you.
Good catch. Thanks. Hi, if you'd like to come on up.
Hi,
Hello.
good evening. I'm Paula Chauvin. I'm a member of St. Anthony of Padua, and I'm here to get the Selectmen's approval for having the bingo on April 12th. The doors will open at 12:30, and people will start playing bingo around 1:30. Usually takes about 3 hours.
Any questions from the board?
We had it last year. It was successful.
Oh, good. Great. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Right. Approval to St. Anthony's of Padua for bingo night, April 12th, 2026. I don't see the time on it. What'd you say,
12:30 doors open, and 1:30 bingo starts.
12:30 opening of the hall?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. And when we get a little closer to the date, if you want to come on back and address the board and just remind us that it's happening, you're more than welcome to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Madam Chair,
you.
before she steps down?
Oh, yeah.
Is it okay if they were to put it up on our social media link somehow, or we're not allowed to do that?
I can ask the question. It's a community event.
Okay.
I'll ask the question if we can.
I didn't hear
We
the,
can link it to our town website, so anybody that goes on can
Oh,
see that
okay.
you're having it.
okay,
If you have a flyer or something, a
Yes.
document that you could send to us,
okay,
we'll post it.
all right, thank you.
Thank you and good luck.
Take care.
Stay warm, everyone.
Yeah. Spring's right around the corner.
Okay, so then we're going to jump down to 8, Public Business A. Board of Selectmen authorizes the chair to review and submit their concurrence with the Marino Jericho neighborhood property inventory and assessments determination to the Commonwealth that the Marino Jericho neighborhood study area is in disrepair with recognizable patterns of disinvestment. As such, the area meets the Commonwealth's definition of substandard, blighted, or decadent areas as stated in MGL Chapter 121A and Chapter 121B, or take any other action relative thereto.
Madam Chair, this is another box that needs to be checked for that area where the survey is being done and where we're applying for grant funding. That requires this designation, and I'm asking the board to authorize you to review that with CMRPC if you'd like, and sign if it's appropriate, and I believe it is.
Do we have any questions, discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, just a quick question.
Yes.
This is no different than we did when we created that district, right? To the administrator? This is all part of that same process when we created the district.
It's the same district, but it has that very specific designation that makes it eligible for grant funding, and there'll be data to back up
Okay.
that finding.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we do have Joe Ferguson here from CMRPC as well as Jean Christie from Tag and Bond on Zoom back there.
Okay. If you could, that would be great. Thank you so much.
I want to thank our consultant, Jean Christie from Ty and Bond. We did not anticipate this to be a presentation, but for history's sake, first off, I'm Joe Ferguson from the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission.
Pull that mic over a little closer. Thank you.
Joe Ferguson, Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. We've been working with the town of Dudley for a number of years on the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, federal fund that flows through the state. We have to compete for those funds on every 18 months. We've been fairly successful in town. We're trying to get this Marino-Jericho district designation in place to pursue funding and projects on a quicker basis. We hired Ty and Bond to go out in the field and assess private buildings, public buildings, and specifically for the town of Dudley, roadway infrastructure, sidewalks, subsurface sewer, drainage, water lines. Their report just came back December of this year. The state has criteria for these infrastructure elements based on their rating system. It's excellent to poor. We had to go out and prove that only 25% of all elements we were looking at were either in fair to poor condition. We did a study back previous to this in FY19 that led us to this study to give us an indication on where we were headed. But we thought we would reach that threshold before we started the project, and we're here now. We've got the final report. Those numbers are back in. They're well over the threshold. And so allowing the chief elected official to submit this letter with Ty and Bond's report could open the town up for a 10-year time frame to pursue CDBG projects to improve the infrastructure in that area. I want to thank the town administrator's office, been working very closely with them, MJ, George, others. So this is a culmination, and I want to thank Ty and Bond as well.
Perfect. So we need a motion, I'm assuming? Kind of where we're at?
So,
Or unless there's any questions for Mr. Ferguson from the board or for Ty and Bond? Okay. Great.
motion to authorize you to proceed.
So moved.
No, I can't make the motion.
No, still moved on what you just said. The wording that the town administrator provided.
Madam Chair, could you do the
Yes.
wording specifically as it's listed in the agenda item?
I sure can. So do we have a motion to authorize the chair to review and submit the concurrence with the Marino-Jericho Neighborhood Property Inventory and Assessments Determination to the Commonwealth that the Marino-Jericho Neighborhood Study Area is in disrepair with recognizable patterns of disinvestment?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? I'll abstain since I'm being appointed. So 401. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate
I'll follow
it.
up with John through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, so now we're going to bounce back and do approval of minutes from January 12th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay. And next up, number 3, citizens' comments. Anyone who'd like to address the board regarding a matter not on this evening's agenda and not requiring deliberation or a vote of the board. I'm not seeing anyone. Okay, great. So we'll move it right along to number 4A, Braden Cutler, Environmental Certifying Officer, an appointment to Environmental Certifying Officer, ECO, with a term to expire February 9th, 2027. I believe that we have it listed on the agenda as Braden Cutler, but I think there's been a change.
Yes, Madam Chair, if the board approves, I'd ask that you appoint me as the environmental certifying officer instead of Braden.
All All right, and can you give us just like a quick breakdown of what this position is responsible for?
I can, Madam Chair. Let's see. The environmental certifying officer is the responsible entity must designate a certifying officer, the responsible federal official, to ensure compliance with the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, and the federal laws and authorities cited at Section 58.5 has been achieved. This person is the chief elected official, chief executive official, or other official designated by formal resolution of the governing body. Within the state CDBG program, states generally make the same requirement of their state recipients. The certifying officer must have the authority to assume legal responsibility for certifying that all environmental requirements have been followed. This function may not be assumed by administering agencies or consultants. In practice, CMRPC will do the legwork of researching the appropriate environmental review process for each grant-funded activity and assembling the needed materials, but a local official, this environmental certifying officer, needs to be designated to review and sign certain documents.
So you would, in essence, be, whoever the ECO is the signer for CMRCP?
Yes, working very closely with CMRPC and essentially signing documents that they can't sign themselves.
Okay. Perfect. Do we have any questions? All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to grant the request to have Olivia Anderson work as the environmental certifying officer for the town of Dudley, term to expire 2/9/2027.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we're going down to 6A, public hearing, vote by mail. Town clerk recommendation on vote by mail. The public hearing is opened at 6:48 p.m.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the annual town meeting is going to be Monday, June 15th. I would like to recommend that we opt out of the vote by mail and just have the election day. And if we do opt out of the vote by mail, I would hold a meeting of the registrars to see if we could do early voting, so people would still have an option to vote before election day. There's always the absentee ballots that people can get if there's a valid reason why they can't come on election day, such as they're going to be out of town or in the hospital or whatever. My reasoning for this is that it's less expensive to do the early voting than it would be to do the vote by mail, and we wouldn't have to do the advanced processing because there wouldn't be that volume that we would get before election day. So.
Any questions?
Do we have a count on number of early voting versus mail-in voting? Typical?
It depends. I typically only ask to opt out of the vote by mail on the years where we're not having federal and state elections. I know we are having them this year, but they're after our June election. Next year, we'll have one in March. So I don't ask to have it opted out before then, because the state sends out their postcards and people check all elections that year. So whether or not they want them for the local election, we have to mail it out. So that kind of skews the numbers a little bit. I can tell you how many people we had at 2025. We had 412 voters. We had early voting. There was not vote by mail that year. 2024, we had 1,370 voters. There was no early voting, but there was vote by mail. 2023, we had 2,600 voters. I don't have the breakdown of that for some reason. And then 2022, it was 571 voters.
Thank you.
I don't know if that helps you any.
Yeah, curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022, I'm sorry, just to follow up, in 2022, that was another non-vote by mail year, correct? Like those are numbers that we just had
I don't
early
know.
voting.
I didn't see that in the system, so I'm not sure. I believe we did not, but I'm not positive.
The only thing that I'm thinking about is that participation piece. Like, it seems like that, I know obviously when there's a state election, there's more coverage kind of across the board. People are more in tune and more likely to participate, but I also wonder if when we open up vote by mail, if more people are participating. in general. I know that it is obviously an added cost. Is there any chance that we wouldn't be able to authorize early voting? Because I know that it obviously.
There is a chance of that because we have to have at least 50% of the registrars that vote for it. I don't think they would vote against it, but I can't say that without them voting on it.
Sure. Mr. Sullivan?
So, let me ask the town clerk this also, my opinion, if the registrars did not vote for early voting, which I agree with you, they've historically okayed
They
it,
would do it. Mhm.
can Lori come back and give us that information? Because that would probably change my vote towards vote by mail. I mean, we'd have plenty of notice. Wouldn't be like they would vote the week before, right?
You want to not vote on the vote by mail now and wait until the registrars?
Well, we
Is that
can
what
always
you're
bring it
saying?
back for reconsider. If, like, for some reason, we could vote tonight, and if it passes, we can always bring it up again. If the registrars vote no early voting, the board can revisit the issue if we so choose.
So how much lead
I don't wanna
time
both
do you
vote.
need for something
I'm-
like that?
What was that?
How much lead time would you need for something like that? Like if we were to vote no to vote by mail
So-
today, but then the registrars come back and say, well, you can't do early voting.
The only problem I see with that is if people, because if you vote for the vote by mail, people still have to ask for an application. We're not automatically going to send it out. So if you vote yes to have vote by mail now, somebody puts in an application to vote by mail, and then you rescind it at a future meeting, people could have already put their applications in, so they would get to vote by mail, but other people wouldn't.
On the flip side, if we were to vote no tonight, and then
Vote no,
if we
not
were to
to
vote
opt out of
no
it.
to
Vote by mail.
vote by mail,
Okay.
if we were to vote to opt out of vote by mail,
Okay.
sorry, tonight, and then the registrars were to say, well, you can't do early voting, I don't know like if there's a chance, I just want to make sure, like what would our options be at that point? Could we bring this back up and potentially do vote by mail if they're not going to allow early voting? Or would that be too close to the election to be able to roll that out?
To opt out of it, you have to have 45 days. It doesn't have, I don't know offhand how many days you would have to opt in. I mean, if you wanted to do that, I could call a Board of Registrars meeting within the next couple of weeks. I'm just not sure how elections would look at us, the Board of Selectmen voting one way and then bringing it back up and changing it the other way. I would have to check and see if that's something that can be done.
Okay.
So follow up.
Yep.
So Lori, if you could call that meeting within the next 2 weeks before our next meeting, we'd have that information? You think that time frame would work?
That would give you enough time, yes.
Because my opinion, I would like to make it as easy as possible for people to vote as opposed to.
Right.
Is that what you're looking to do? Is that
Yeah.
if we have the early voting, then you're going to opt out of the
Yes.
vote by mail? Because I would only want to do one or the other. So
Right.
if you're having the vote by mail, I'm not even going to have a registrar's meeting to do the early voting.
No, assuming that it's an affirmative vote on the early voting, I would not have a problem the other way. If it's a negative vote, I would prefer that we give the people more opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same with me.
Yes.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between vote by mail and absentee voting. Absentee, you need a reason. Vote
Right.
by mail, you don't.
Right.
And if we did the early voting, there's still absentee. That doesn't go
Yes,
away.
there's always absentee.
So if someone had a vacation plan, they could say, I'm not going to be.
If they
in
fill
town."
out an application for an absentee ballot, yes.
Okay. But they have to have a reason. They just can't say, I don't
Right.
want to leave the house.
Mhm.
That's the difference. If we wanted to make it really easy, we could just have the mail in, but I know that's going to cost more money and probably a few thousand more, 10,000, 5,000.
We probably get, looking back, probably get another 800-900.
In cost, right?
It costs, yeah, it's over $1 a ballot now to mail out, and then we pay for the postage on the way back, and then you've got your staff too, the extra hours.
So say $10 a person, and if 100 people do it,
It adds up, yeah.
Any other comments,
I'm either way.
questions? Thank you, Lori.
Okay, and whatever your vote is, it would just have to be a roll call vote.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right, so with that, no other comments. We're going to close the hearing at 6:56 PM. And at this point, we'll take a motion as to whether to opt out of vote by mail for the June 15th, 2026 annual Town 11
Madam Chair,
election. Yes.
I'll take a stab at it. Make a motion that we defer the vote to opt out of vote by mail until our next meeting, pending information provided by the town clerk as to early voting.
Second.
So roll call vote.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Gary Siganovich, aye.
Chris Dutchewski, aye.
Jana Duchesne, aye.
Jay Johnson, nay.
Okay. That is 4-1. The motion passes, so we'll defer until the next meeting, and then when we hear back from Lori, we'll make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, so next up, number 7, public hearing for poll petitions.
Madam
Yes.
Chair, at this time, I'm going to recuse myself as a family member who works at National.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
We closed the hearing before we voted, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Okay, just double check.
I did, yes. With a timestamp and everything.
Okay.
I'm struggling tonight. Okay, so number 7A, Old Sturbridge Road, number 31178-149, National Grid to install one geopole on Old Southbridge, beginning at a point approximately 180 feet east of the center line of the intersection of Roberts Road and Old Southbridge Road, installing stub pole number 3084 to support a pole line. Pole line was originally supported by Tree Guy and Anchor, but the tree is gone and no longer supporting the utility pole. The public hearing is opened at 6:58 PM. Do we have a representative from National Grid?
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Could you
absolutely.
introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Colton Marshall, representative of National Grid.
Thank you, Colton. All right, so what information do you have for us on this particular poll?
The notes covered the vast majority of what's going on here. This was a existing, we call it a tree guy. So back whenever these poles were set, they utilized a tree to support the existing pole 30. Since then, that tree, to my understanding, has been removed, leaving a somewhat precarious situation for pole 30 with lack of support. So to remedy this, we're looking to install pole 30-84, and it's basically a supporting pole. Will span across the street overhead, and it will support it laterally from leaning over, essentially.
Any questions from the board? No? Any questions from the public? Mr. Sullivan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Stephen Sullivan, 36 Cardinal Drive. Spoke to a resident up there. I believe there's a letter in the Selectmen's packet from the person, and I can read it if you'd like, or I can try to summarize it. The lady who wrote the letter understands about the poles and electricity, but she had landscaping in that area. And apparently at one point, according to her letter she sent, she spoke to the neighbor across the street, I guess, who's needing the pole. And then it also said she contacted a Mr. Mohammed El Rafael at National Grid, designer. He met with her and he said that they could maybe do a different plan or try to alleviate her concerns. And I'm just asking on behalf of she said she reached out after that first meeting, never got a response. So I'm just asking if that was ever taken into consideration for the lady. I understand there's a taking up there and everything, but is it that was taken into consideration not to impact the resident?
Thank you.
I also saw that letter. The designer that was assigned to this, we work in the same office, so I discussed this with him. I did see that letter. He's been out here multiple times with our overhead supervisor to try to find an alternative. We understand that situations like this are kind of unfortunate because that pole probably set back in the 70s. They should have put it across the street. So now we're trying to deal with what we have. It's these tree guys cause a lot of problems for us as they age and the trees go down. So we've been out there with 2 different designers, our overhead supervisor, to try to find an alternative to this solution. But as far as what's viable, what's feasible, this is the ultimate solution that we've come to. I know it's not ideal, but or at least for for this resident. But as far as the other resident across the street at 84 Old Southbridge Road, because I believe, whatever, she was over there, there's nothing that could be done on his property that would alleviate this condition.
Any other questions? Yep, of course.
So, thank you, Madam Chair, again. So if that's the case, can you, as a board, ask this gentleman or the previous person she spoke to reach back to that family and just explain to them? Because I'm sure that they're going to see a dirt auger out there soon, put up a new pole, and if somebody could just reach out to the family, still have the contact information. If not, we can get it to our office to you.
Yes, I should have it.
Okay, just to let her know that there's, and then just have them verify. You can send you folks an email saying that they did it, just so the person understands.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, we should be able to coordinate that.
Do you want is this just to notify her that this is essentially proceeding, or to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be fine. Just to, I'm sure it's not a go back and forth. Just explain to the lady that sorry, we tried, and
Yeah.
that's all we can do.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments? Nope. So with that, I'm going to close the hearing at 7:03 PM. Do we have a motion on this particular hearing? Either to approve or deny the National Grid poll petition number 3120949.
So that would be the motion. Okay.
Pick one.
I can take a stab. I'll make a motion to, sorry, it's A.
Yep.
To approve the poll petition at Old Southbridge Road, number 311-78149, which National Grid would install one JO pole on Old Southbridge, beginning at a point approximately 180 feet east of the center line of the intersection of Roberts Road and Old Southbridge Road.
Second for discussion.
Okay.
I wish we had some sort of documentation about that someone had reached out to the person who sent this. I wish we had something that said there were no other options. I just wish I had something that said that. That's all.
Any other discussion before we take a vote? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So 3-1, the vote passes. Thank you. All right, and going on to a second one, sorry. 7B, Cottage Road, number 3120949. Ooh, that's familiar. I am not with it today. So sorry, everyone. 3120949, National Grid to install one JO pole on Cottage Road beginning at a point approximately 335 feet northwest of the center line of the intersection of Cottage Road and Pierpont Road. Installing stub pole 3-84 with anchor attached to support pole number 3 and accompanying pole line. And the public hearing is opened at 7:05 p.m. Could we just get a breakdown of why the pole is necessary?
Yes, this is another tree guy. So same exact situation here. The tree that was over approximately where the new 3-84 is being installed, we're removing that tree guy and installing a pole in its place.
Any questions? Discussion from, any questions from the crowd? Seeing none. Do we have a motion to approve? Sorry, let me close the hearing at 7:06 p.m. Do we have a motion to approve the petition? Mr. Johnson?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the poll petition at Cottage Road number 31209-149, in which National Grid would install a 1 JO pole on Cottage Road, beginning at a point approximately 330 feet northwest of the center line of the intersection of Cottage Road and Pierpont Road.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, let's move it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, 4-0. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so, public business B, school field funding. Mr. Johnson and Mr. Siganovich, public update on pledges for athletic fields. Take it away, Mr. Johnson.
Madam Chair. Just a little background. I don't want to say it's a history lesson, but and please correct me if the board feels any of this is incorrect from what they remember. But back when the new multipurpose field or football field at Shepherd Hill was being planned, at the time there was a large donation pledged from a couple of groups to help fund more than half of the 2.2 million. It was about 1.2 million, I believe. At town meeting, people got up, spoke about it. Town meeting approved the matter, I believe. Everyone remember that? Okay. So the field was built and customized with a company logo and some specialized football helmet, and it looks really, really nice. It seems to be working well for the district. Once again, thank you so much for the business and residents at the time, some no longer live in town, but that offered to fund that 1.2 million, and thanks again for the amount that folks have actually donated so far. About a year ago, I don't know why, I think we were talking about capital expenditures in the district and in the town, and I remembered about it, so I asked the district how that was going, and they started digging. New folks and weren't there originally back in, it's like 2018-ish or so, 2017-ish. Mr. Signevich will probably pull that out of his hat.
13.
2013?
That's when the field was done, yeah. Well, that's when it was approved. The company was hired in
Thank you.
2014.
Thank you for that, man.
Time is up.
So I started asking, I'm like, how's that going so far? So here it is, 2013 approval, and here we are, 12, 13 years after that. And through some digging, thanks again to that office to looking into it, and could only find a small amount that had been chipped in so far. So I was, it was bothering me a little. I said, hey, is this something that we should check on? Obviously it's not legally binding to, these donations. It's kind of similar to the playground. It's like people want to help. They say they're going to help, and if they can, they do help. But, the district put a logo on it and did some other stuff. And so I was wondering, and the good news from what I've heard so far is there's been a recommitment and some payments that obviously non-binding, but thanks to those businesses and folks that are continuing to do that. So I just wanted to bring up and follow up, and I think Mrs. Signevich would follow up with this, but as more capital expenditures are brought up and we talk about it, we've seen the field then and the playground more recently, some of the funding methods that we've heard come up, and donations. We just got to be cognizant that we're not doing real good with some of these, and can probably improve upon that. So I just wanted to bring it up at a public meeting. Thanks to those that have donated, and thanks to the district for digging through the pile for me.
Yeah, I think to add on to what Mr. Johnson said, and I give you credit for starting this, because honestly, I just assumed we had gotten the money. And good on you for unturning some things, and I did some more research, and yeah, it's been, 12 years, somewhere in there. And that's 1.2 million that the people in our communities didn't think they were going to spend, that they're spending, or have spent. And so I would like the school if they weren't able to collect it, some communication would have been good, maybe seek out other sponsors or something. I'd like to know how much was collected to date. I'd like to know what the plans are for the rest, if they're seeking other sponsors. Because like I said, this was billed where people were told they were going to pay like $13 a household, and that just wasn't the case either. And I mean this in the best way possible, just some accounting for this. We all know a couple years back, the residents in town wanted an accounting of things, and I would like an accounting of this. And I guess I just walked into a motion, didn't I? I did. Yeah, I'll make it. I'd like to make a motion that we request from the school district an update on what has been collected for funding and what their plans are for the future. And if it doesn't look good, I've got to clean this motion up. What a revised cost per household would be.
Can I second that for discussion?
Yes.
So maybe a separate motion, I'm not sure how it'd be handled, but going back to what Mr. Johnson was saying, when that was sold to the town, they were gonna reuse the bleachers. And we did have Mr. Lamash in here several years ago, and when they took the boards off, I guess there was too much damage. So at that time, there was supposedly a short-term rental of bleachers. I believe they're the same bleachers. Can we also, if it needs a separate motion, find out if that's been incorporated through the, not through the donations, but the way it was debt excluded, the money the town paid? I guess my question would be, if they shelled out X and new bleachers would have cost Y, and it's a better rate, why haven't they done that?
Through the chair, I do remember the discussion about the bleachers, because there was another capital expenditure proposed, and because there would be a AV capability at the top, it would have to be ADA compliant,
Right.
and it was like don't quote me on it, but it was more money than the actual field at that point. Let's call it 2 million, because it needed to be ADA compliant and stuff. And when they were saying, well, we're renting the stands every year, it's like $30,000 a year. Well, the ROI on 2-point-something million, when you only have to pay $30,000 a year to rentals, that might be in that situation. We can get an update on
Yeah,
that.
just see the line item of funds expended.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like at 1.2, weren't they talking about running George is not here, but they were talking about running a water line, a sewer line, actually put a bathroom complex too, I think, up there, something that I don't think ever, but I'm just saying, there was a lot of stuff that came up that didn't come to fruition, or whatever reason, cost, I'm sure had something to do with it. But yeah, I'd just be curious about the bleacher thing, but I think you summed it up very well, thank you. So if that can be separate motion or added to the motion, maybe just add the motion.
We can add it. I think we've got to clean it up, though.
Maybe just say also get an accounting of the cost of bleachers.
Honestly, I didn't anticipate a motion. I didn't have anything written down. I thought we were just going to talk about it, and I thought maybe, I don't know, I thought maybe someone would be here from there and we could just be done with this.
No, I think we should have probably maybe two parts to the motion. One is the financial accounting of what was approved through town meeting, which was the all-purpose field, which is what went through. And then the second part of it could be, was there any more conversation about the other items that were on that list and what was done about that?
I'd like to amend my motion. We would like to know how much was collected to date from pledged sponsorships. What is promised in the future for these sponsorships? Are there any plans to get new sponsorships to replace anything that is missing from the initial proposal? And an updated actual cost per household for the residents. And it's $1.2 million. I don't think we're asking a lot to get an accounting of. Some of us, I know I did, I advocated for it. I remember I pushed to have lights there so people could use it to walk. And there's a little button you can push. I remember speaking with Mr. Lindstrom about that many years ago.
So I'll second the amended
Right.
motion, and then I'll take a shot at the other thing after.
Okay. Mr. Johnson?
No, I'm not good.
And I just want to echo what Jay said too, Madam Chair. It's no reflection on the original pledges. It's great that people stepped up. I give you credit for bringing it back to the forefront, and I appreciate what the schools have been trying to do to provide it. But it's no, nothing says a community better than people that step up with financial help. So again, thank those folks from the bottom of our heart. Some don't even live in town anymore, as you said.
So let's put the motion, if there's no more discussion, we'll put that motion to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. So we'll get that, we'll ask for that information.
Great.
Next up,
Madam Chair.
Mr.
I'd
Sullivan.
like to make a motion that we ask the schools to just give us a figure of what the rental cost on the bleachers has been paid out to date, and maybe get a firmer figure of what it would have cost to add that, because I remember that component. So I'm just curious to see what's been spent on bleacher rentals.
We have a second?
A second, and I agree, we've got, this isn't anything personal, this is, we're going to have, we could, I'm not gonna say we are, I'm not gonna bring that into the universe here, but we could have budget issues in the coming years. I mean, just normal things like copper, silver are going through the roof. We could have inflation coming down the road. We've got expenses we know about coming down the road. We've got to be careful with our money. If nothing, residents have said to us that they don't want to pay more than they have to. They want us to be efficient, and that's what this is. This is about being efficient. Thank you.
So if that is it for discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So next up, we have an update on Harper's payroll implementation. Board of Selectmen votes to take any action relative thereto. So last week, that was just last week, oh my goodness, on February 3rd, we had a call with a representative from Harper's payroll to just go over again, like what each employee should be seeing in the system so that we can move towards having one department do testing from beginning to end. In my discussions with the Harper's rep, it sounded like there had been bits and pieces of testing done with several departments, but nothing had ever been done from start to finish with like one group of people. So we identified a smaller group to start doing testing with, and touched base with the rep on that call. It was the rep from Harper's, myself, Mr. Sullivan, and Assistant Town Administrator Antonsen. So I'm not sure. By the end of the call, a couple of things came up, like as we were kind of taking a look in the testing system. It seemed like there were some records that needed to be updated as far as employees that hadn't necessarily been employed for the town for a while. And by the end of the call, we were told that we were going to get a master list of the cost centers and the individual employees last week, which I believe we just got this morning. Is that correct? Have you had an opportunity to take a look at that list or do anything with it?
Madam Chair, since I just got it this morning, I took a brief overview of it. Boris also provided me access to the admin side of things, and originally that password did not work, so I did spend some time with him getting that straightened out.
Perfect.
He also said that he was aware that several employees, more than several actually, more like dozens, were still listed in active status in the payroll system. He's gone ahead and manually terminated those names in time and attendance, but their statuses will need to be updated in payroll before we go live. Otherwise, those inactive employees will keep showing up as active.
Perfect. So going forward, our plan was the plan we sort of loosely formulated at the end of the call was to get this list from Boris at Harper's and then ask for input from the department heads just to make sure that the information that we have is correct. Cost center wise, we're going to be looking at like those individual line items anyway because it's budget season. So it should be relatively easy for us to just clean that up and make sure that everything's correct. Because we want to make sure, you know, as this project goes forward, all of the information is correct from the jump, and that we're not having to like build the plane while we're flying it. So, yes, Mr. Sullivan.
I just want to thank you to the chair for including me. I asked to be included, I was. I couldn't stay on for the whole call the other day, as you could see. I want to appreciate everyone who's been working on it, because it's been years, literally years. And the part that, the questions I had answered, that I asked Boris about department head access, the level of access, how it was handled in other towns, was very enlightening. But to me, when I was a temporary supervisor at the post office, we had a very similar system where the supervisor could go in and verify. Like if somebody's clock ring was missing, you got an error report the next day, and Boris said it was kind of the same. To me, it's going to be stunningly easy once that's up and running. It's going to make everybody's life around here a lot simpler, and it gives a much more overview of time and attendance and reasons for not attending. And the flip side to that is, it's stunning to me that it hasn't been done yet. We've been, 2019, was that when it first started?
Yes.
I mean, we have emails, you're doing a great job, and I think we've got the ship, everyone's rowing in the same direction, I appreciate it, but this has to get done. It's the 21st century, and it's stunningly easy when it's gonna be implemented. But I appreciate being included.
Absolutely. I mean, and in early talks about this, Sarah, our town accountant, had said, you know, it needs to be right from the get-go, because as of right now, we have a system that works. Everybody gets paid on time, like, you know, that's going to happen. And the scariest part about implementing a system like this is, are those paychecks going to be on time? Is there going to be an interruption? And we want to make sure that we're not doing that. So, again, looking at this from a testing perspective, we really want to try to get in with this first group, make sure that everything works, everything's reported correctly, so that we can start like moving through and hopefully get this up and running ASAP. So that's where I'm at. Any questions, comments? I don't think we need a motion or anything, but okay. Great.
Keep momentum. Keep it going.
Keep it going. All right, so 8D, update on VADAR modules. Board of Selectmen to take any action relative thereto. Mr. Sullivan.
Sorry again. This
That's
isn't my
okay.
agenda item, but I'm going to ask the question before we start. About a year or so ago, we had this, we talked about modules. And again, speaking generalities, I know nothing about VADAR. But if we're paying for, if there's 10 modules, maybe there's 5, I'm not even sure. I asked the question a year or so ago, and I ask it again, are we utilizing every module that we are paying for? Because once again, the little bit of VADAR I do understand makes everyone's life a lot easier, especially the way it flows, the information. So that'd be my question. Are we 100% utilizing VADAR? Because that was a pretty substantial cost, if I remember correctly.
Mr. Ruda?
Actually, the VADAR project has been very much spearheaded by the town accountant, so my suggestion would be if you have specific questions about where that stands, to ask her to come up.
Okay. Okay, sorry. How has that been going? Because I know, like, when you came into your role, you were trying to figure out which Vadar modules to use and things like that. So,
Okay, well, I'm using the accounting system, the general ledger, and it's interfaces with a lot of the tax side of the house. So the real estate, the utilities, tax title. I also extensively use a module that turns over the transactions so that I can post journal entries from when the assessor does a commitment and all that. Other than that, I'm just trying to go through in my head the different modules. We did recently purchase the Betterment module last year, and that's been a little tweaky getting up and running. It's not what I think Rich, we were talking earlier, he's not, it's not working the way it was planned to. When we purchased it, I specifically requested to be trained on it, and it was not. And neither was the assessor, to the best of my knowledge. So I don't know. I think the problems we have with Vadar are that there's not a specific person designated as a project manager as things are rolled out. And so communication gets a little lapsed as we go forward.
and when you say that there isn't a project manager, on our side or on Vadar's side, on the company side?
Well, usually
Both.
when you roll out software, there's an employee designated as the project manager who ensures that the employees understand, they're trained. They understand the product, and there's a sign off. So nothing, it's a project management.
Yep.
And that process doesn't seem to have occurred. And specifically, when I look at, I was not here when Vadar was rolled out. Some of the things I see that happened throughout the Vadar implementation, they went live in 2024. We took a terrible database in an old system and basically dumped it into a new system. And we had 9,600 vendors, and after we had a project, I had an intern over the summer who helped me go in and purge all the inactive vendors that technically we haven't used. And we have 1,200 active vendors now. But we still have all this junk sitting in a new system. So I think Vadar, when it was rolled out initially, if they had a project manager who was responsible in working with Vadar to make that cleaner, the same thing happened with the general ledger. They took a chart of accounts. You had a perfect opportunity to make a beautiful chart of accounts that flows and things are aligned that meet your state reporting requirements, and you can use it, and it didn't happen. So we took a pretty sloppy general ledger and dumped it into a brand new system. So, I'm trying to clean up some of these things. It's very time consuming and it's very frustrating. So, but.
Mr. Sullivan?
So, a couple of quick questions to Sarah. And I know you came in after the game started. So the first one, go take it back, was you said a project manager on the town side. You asked a question, Madam Chair. In a town our size or a town that utilizes Vadar, where does that responsibility usually fall under? Like who, do you know, if you don't know the answer,
I don't know. I would have thought that the general ledger would have been the accountant. But the whole project itself, I mean, we purchased it for its ability to integrate and to facilitate these transactions coming from one module to another. So you really need to have teams, and you need to have all the people at the table. And I just, I wasn't here, but my guess is that a lot of that didn't happen.
So my second question, Sarah mentioned training, that she hasn't asked for it and has not received it. And best of your knowledge, the assessor's office also had not received it or has not received it. I forget how you phrased it.
Right, I think, well,
So my question was going to be, who's responsible for that? Was that, once we engaged VEDA, was that up to someone on the town side to say to Sarah or whoever else needs it, we're going to get you the training? Or was it someone on VEDA's side that didn't provide the opportunity for training? I don't understand.
I have no idea. I asked to be trained on it when the purchase was made. And lo and behold, it came time to run invoices and commitments. And I was like, well, am I supposed to be doing anything with this? Do I have to go in and go into the CRT module and transition the commitments for betterments? And I had no idea what to do. And they were done. They were done in the module, but they weren't correct. So, I mean, just like talking about Harper's, when you put in a system, you need to make sure it works all the way through. You test it, and so there's no surprises at the end.
I'm just confused, I guess, that we have a person who's integral to the success of VEDA looking for training, wasn't able to get it. And again, is it a question of timing? Because I know she just said it was already there. So you can't get post-training? I don't know if that's a VEDA issue. Is that an in-house issue?
Wouldn't we start with Vadar, because you're paying them?
If they hosted the training, yeah.
I think maybe that's where we start.
I'm just wondering, did anybody get trained on it? Is there anybody that's got the?
Well, I called Vadar, and Vadar told me that the work had been done, and they had signed. Now, I didn't see any sign off, but that they had done their side of the job. Now, I don't know what their side of the job entailed, but.
Does anyone have that answer? I don't know, is that a question for the treasurer collector? Is that a question for the administrator? I'm not sure where the answer is, but I'm just probably sit here till I get it. Somebody has to have, somebody must know. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to run anybody over with a bus here. I just want to.
Mr. Carmignani, what did I hate to put you on the spot, but what did the training that you received when VEDAR was originally rolled out, like what did that look like? Who initiated that?
Good evening. So in 2022, May, this started, and the collector's office was the first to use it, and point wasn't an option as of 7/1. We had cut our ties with them, and moving forward, it was nothing but. I think the accountant is referring to the collector's office, and then the treasurer's side was maybe a month or two, maybe we'll call it September. Your accounting didn't migrate over for 18 months. What she's talking about is the UMass chart of accounts that helps VEDAR be a useful tool. At the end of the day, if I look at an account that leads with 400, it's an escrow account, 900s, and the UMass chart of accounts is put in there so that the reports, that the information going in can be pulled out consistently, whether it's Dudley, whether it's Webster, Abington. I remember Abington because that was one of the examples that they had used for this. Now, previously, you had Point Software, which was collector software only, and they had just a tax title module. So the treasurer's side was still done with an Excel spreadsheet. BMSI was your accounting, and there was no direct import. I was the person that wanted to bring this in so that we could hit a button. So from the first day of Vadar until reasonably when Sarah took over, there was not consistency. There were still photocopies of abatements and commitments. Right now it's seamless. When Sarah closed out the month of December, it was a hard return. There's some paper backup for detail because of specific things that she and I know are important when doing the reconciliations. If you're asking what I received for training, I'd have to look at my notes, but there were QR docs. Once you were up and running, reasonably it was, all right, let's figure out how this works. There are still issues. I have to go through and correct 22 and 23 commitments that were done in Vadar without a uniform system. So I'm still taking time out of my day to correct an issue that took place 2 or 3 years ago because until a bill is paid and the amount due is 0, that mistake still hangs out there. One of your correcting issues from your DLS report is the tax title module. The only thing that's correct in this building right now is my spreadsheet, because we have shadows and mistakes where you had things posting to the wrong account and me making a correction. So that's what the reconciliation is about. I think as far as training goes, I won't speak to what Vadar should have provided as far as implementation goes. If I have a question, I usually get it answered. Right now, I'm at the point where I can figure out things the long way. I'm still reconciling to an Excel spreadsheet because I know there are still inconsistencies and mistakes in there. That's how I'm going through and doing it. As far as what the treasurer's office is using, from day one, we were pulling in things from Unipay. It was the direct import file, it was the export out to Harper's, and it tied to everything. And if you look back the last 2 or 3 years, the budgeting process has matured some so that it's not specifically a bottom line budget. It is, here are the 10 salary line items that are in the highway department so that you can track the expenditures for those individuals, as opposed to maybe 20 years ago when you had police patrolman salary and it was a single large dollar amount that required maybe some additional explanation. So we have a line item per person to make sure all of those items work, and that wasn't in place in the original Vadar. And does that answer questions? Does it make sense as
I'm still
I'm
a little confused as to what Vadar provided as far as like process documentation, or if they gave you a rep to reach out to, like if you had trouble with the system or like needed someone to.
So I'll tell you the original rollout, and I will say Vadar does a good job of this. Prior to real estate billing, prior to excise billing, they'll ring the bell. We know that everybody is mailing for July 1st and for January 1st. So 45 days, 60 days prior to that, we're going to go through and hold the webinar. They'll give you a digital copy of the webinar. They will go through and they have online resources that say, okay, this is how we want to do it. In the town of Dudley, the assessor goes through and does the data bridge and brings in everything. They will tie to what is submitted at the DOR for the recap, so that when it gets to me and I'm printing my bills, it's the tick-tie in total, making sure that we're not sending out $1 million worth of bills, and we're not sending out $99 million worth of bills. This is the total for personal property, this is the total of, and it'll tie out for the year. My resources are a support line. I'm at the point now, having spoken to them for how many years, I have individual emails and specific phone numbers. Nobody's going to drop what they're doing because Rich has a question, but generally if I send out a question saying, when we did the billing, A, B, and C happens, are you able to provide some guidance on it? And the people there know, okay, this is what I need to do. You delete it and redo it. Little things like that. So there is online help. There are online documents for help. There is a generic helpline, and there are phone numbers to reach these people.
Okay, and you're still utilizing a shadow system because parts of VADAR are not correct?
The original setup was wrong.
Okay.
Part of the tax title issue is your receivables. You were going through and categorizing the commitment different from the tax title taking to when it was paid. It wasn't mapped correctly. And that was done at a local level.
Okay. So how do we fix that so that you can
it's
utilize the software?
It's Skylab spinning around. It's when the bill is paid, we know that the correction needs to be made, the adjustment is made, and it finally zeroes itself out. And that's the issue that's there. You can't undo it because it exists. It was committed, part of the commitment was paid for, so you can't reverse it, and when it gets paid, you need to make those corrections. So that's the reason I'm still on an Excel spreadsheet. I have the ability to go through back to pre-COVID to Point Software saying, here's my AR, and it's commitments, refunds, abatements, and payments from the original commitment in the form of a paper coming from the assessors and/or the water sewer department to the outstanding bills less credits. I have the ability to do it, which is why it doesn't appear on your audit, because I've done it manually even though we have a system for it. Your water sewer commitments are probably the worst. They're the last that we've tackled. But again, if I can go through and demonstrate, here are my payments in the bank, here's what's outstanding, here's the credits.
All right. Any other questions?
So is VADAR a revolving cost? Like, once we get the software, are we done with that? We have to-
Mr. Sullivan, that's an excellent point. So one of the selling points for me, and again, I'm the person who raised their hand saying this was a good idea. Mr. Ruda raised his hand and said, all right, let's take a look at it. It is the same price, it was the same price as Point Software was, and it's an all-inclusive module. So you were paying approximately $14,000, $15,000 to Point Software if you took what the collector had, the treasurer module, and the water sewer piece, and now everybody has it. So right now it's probably 19 because we added on the betterments module. I want to say it's 28 or 29,000 to pay your OpenGov. So this is a modest cost, and it's getting better to use every year because there are more and more things. Back to what your accountant says, you want to be able to go through and have the correct UMIS numbers in so that when you hit the hard return, you're using a stock program for receipts and what have you, as opposed to, if you have trusts and they are sort of outside, you have to do the manual calculations. You also, at least from the collector's side, this is the 4th year of VADAR to VADAR numbers. So historically, you know exactly what's been collected, including interest and your fees and things like that.
So the second half of my question was going to be, so assume 19 as an estimate we're paying for VADA. Do we have Harper must generate an annual cost. Do we have an idea of what we're paying Harper a year? And Rich just said it's getting better on the VADA side. And you and Olivia and I on the phone call and working with the department, it seems like Harper's is getting better. But in the spirit tonight of accountability, I'd be interested in how much we're paying for these two programs, whatever you want to call it, and we're not getting full use, I guess, unless I'm misspeaking on the usage amount. But Harper's for sure, we know we're not, and we've been engaged with them, I think we just agreed, since 2019.
Yeah, I mean, with VADAR, my concern is, I guess, that we are paying this cost year over year, which is fine. Like, you need a software to do the stuff. It's okay. But if you have to also maintain an Excel spreadsheet independent of that system to make sure that the information is correct, like that's.
Madam Chair, I'll go back to this. The information going in there, the setup on the general ledger side was terrible. That's the problem. VADAR works well. Right now, there are no issues with 2026 real estate tax. There's no flies in the ointment. I think the betterment module works well, and there's a reason you're keeping it. I think there was an implementation for year one. Last year was done manually. For this year and the year before, all of your water sewer liens or unpaid water sewer placed as a lien on the third quarter, they are without issue. So I think a great deal of it was set up. I mean, there's always going to be a workaround for something, and it should be a single item every other week, just because life, you can't expect everything to happen. But I think VADAR accounting should have been up and running from day one, and the UMass chart of accounts was generationally in place. I wouldn't speak to all of it, but I know from my half of it, what's going on now is much better than what was done before. And you don't, the UMass, Mark Abrahams and the other gentleman over at the DOR put it in place so that even if you did a manual accounting and you were using a ledger system, everything made sense as far as you're going through and capturing your 5700s are your expenses. You have 0001 as the general fund, 060. All of those codes mean things. Your salaries are 5100. Even the fourth digit, the fourth group of digits, which is 4 digits on your accounting, is going to tell you something. Sarah's been able to put it into place for fiscal 26 and part of fiscal 25. VADAR is a good system and it's being run well. It's that original implementation and the lack of forethought into that.
That's for Rich or Sarah.
Still like to see the cost. If there's a number, what we paid for both these.
Is that,
VADAR was less than 20 this year. The original amount was 15, 16, something like that. And again, you replaced point software with Vadar and put the entire town on it. So previously, you had a paper turnover from your police department, as opposed to right now, the police department goes through and puts in a Vadar turnover. I think even at the beginning of this year, there were improvements as far as what was turned over. Go back to the police department. They're not turning over motor vehicle excise. There's only a handful of items that they're going to turn over. It's not an extensive list. If you go through and a different service starts to get added from the police department, I only use it because it's the easiest example. What are they going to have, 5 or 10 different receipt codes that come in? You know, so if for some reason they are doing this, you have the ability to add that in. They're not charging the $11 that the town clerk would for a vital record. So it's working the way it should for the most part.
I think, would you be able to get us the cost, what we're spending out for both of those things, like within the next week or so?
I believe, oh, excuse me. I believe the budget process we're currently undergoing is going, I mean, we have last year's numbers that, for,
Good enough.
you budget for Harper's, right? It's a line item,
Its own thing.
treasury. And then also we budget a line item for, the Vadar
Okay.
maintenance.
Was that included in, I know earlier today you had put together some financial documents for us. Was that included in those, is that included somewhere in those?
No, what you got today from me was the Scanlon annual report, the
Okay.
audit report.
Perfect.
And then the
I had a chance
single
to look at
audit
it,
report.
Okay, great.
But the numbers you're looking for, we can quantify
Be in the
by
budget.
tomorrow and get a pretty good number.
Thank you.
And again, I still don't know how to log into the Betterment module. I mean, when I went in there was nothing there. I think there might be some stuff there now, but the way that rolled out was not ideal. So again, when you put in these systems, Harper's or Vadar, we need to be cognizant that there are projects that need to be communicated to the people who are using it.
Yes, absolutely.
Madam Chair, if I
Yes.
may? Sarah, before you go away. Should she have access, and if she doesn't, who's not giving it to her? Who's not granted it? Or am I wording it too strongly?
No, I think I understand what you're saying. So it's not an issue that you don't have access to the modules you need access
No
to.
betterment, the one she just talked about.
Right. You have access to it, you just,
Yeah, I know I can see it.
yeah.
I did go into it and I couldn't see anything at one point. And then I think the information that went into the Betterment module, there was some confusion between how the dates and how the interest was calculated. So we're going back and correcting that, or I believe Rich and Lisa are going to correct it. So I think in the end, it'll get resolved. But I was disappointed that if there was training, or according to Vadar, there was training, I was not at the table when it happened, so.
Does that answer the
well,
question?
well,
kind of?
yeah. Just keep plugging away, keep it going. Thank you for the information, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Next up, we have the financial management policy. Board of Selectmen to approve or take any other action relative thereto. Mr. Ruda.
Madam Chair, following the DLS recommendations that we begin instituting a series of financial policies and internal control procedures that have been either need to be updated or have been non-existent in the past. The finance team has begun doing that. Sarah has led that charge for us. She's attended a few trainings where she's gotten it right from the horse's mouth in terms of sample policies. We've been able to bat that around in the finance team meetings over the last about the last month or so. And the board will see that in their folders, we have those final drafts, I believe, ready to go and ready for vote for the Board of Selectmen to approve.
So when will those be sent out? I hate to ask that question, but
Well, the drafts are there for your review now. The vehicle use policy is a draft that I received from town council for those who are not governed by public safety or highway or that sort of thing, that generally may have occasion to use town vehicles. We have no policy in place for that. And I believe Sarah provided the initial drafts for the disbursement and financial management policies.
perfect.
So when these things are passed, I believe we have a bylaw that says it has to go out to affected departments for 2 weeks for their input before it becomes implemented.
Comment period. Does anyone have any questions? Do you need a motion from us tonight on the financial management policy?
I think we're ready to go,
Okay.
if the board is. And if there are any questions, we've got most of the people here that can answer them, myself included.
I think the only financial management policy that I've seen so far has been the vehicle use policy. I don't know if it's just the problem, like a problem with my drive, that I'm not able to find the draft policy. But is this something that we could maybe take a vote on at the next meeting? Is that reasonable? Give everybody a chance.
Sure, I
to
think,
read over.
it may not be showing up in your drive because I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just,
Is there anybody else having that same problem?
I can only see the vehicle policy.
That's one I got.
No, I have a paper copy in front of me. I just opened it.
You can go at me.
okay.
All right, well,
Well, that's what happens when we go old school. All right, perfect.
we'll
So
put it on the next one.
that works.
Have it in the morning.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So next thing that we have up is the disbursements policy. Which I think I'm also missing, but like, you know, that's me. Do you have disbursements? What's going on? It's a me thing. Can you give us just a quick rundown on the disbursement policy? Oh, is that a
Queen of Disbursements is back there, and
Oh.
So you guys.
This is what happens when you sit in the back row.
These meetings could be half an hour if people sat in
you
front.
have to take an Uber to get to the podium.
So first of all, it's the financial management team policy, not financial management policy. And were they not uploaded to the,
It's probably me.
So,
I got it, I don't know.
through the chair, we have been having a few syncing issues with our OneDrive, and it looks like those two policies might not have made it in and
Okay.
synced properly to the board as a whole.
okay.
Okay.
So they really do require you to read them and digest them.
Okay.
So financial management team is pretty short. It basically says, we're gonna establish a financial management team that's made up of the town administrator, the assistant town administrator, assessor, treasurer, and myself. We're gonna meet periodically. We don't set a specific time frame in there because it's as needed, and it's been more frequently than not recently. And it just says we're strategically working together to address the financial concerns as they come up. You know, but the language is there. It's just a very general, lays it out. We didn't want to put a bylaw in. I think the recommendation from DLS was to establish a bylaw. This gives us a little bit more flexibility and enhances the communication with the group. So, and the disbursements, again, it's a very general policy. We didn't get into specific, add a lot of people, kept it high level, but it walks through the general procedures that we need to process the disbursements. Okay, and so we can get that to you tomorrow, and
It looks like they're there now. But I'm not gonna waste anybody's time reading through it and trying
Yeah,
to like
'cause
hold a
you
vote right
really
this
need-
minute,
I
so
mean-
we can move it to the next, if that's okay.
And so I think the board's aware of it. The finance team has been meeting very shortly after that final recommendation came out. So we're kind of backing into things that we've been doing already,
Perfect.
codifying them.
there's several more policies. I took a training with Rich. We went out last year, and DLS has a template, and they give you all the major financial policies. And a lot of the towns have implemented them. They stay pretty close to DLS guidelines, and then you insert in the specifics to your municipality. So we should be able to knock those out and have the book completed, I would hope, within the next year. Okay? All right.
Thank you, Sarah. So we won't take a vote on that, but the vehicle use policy was available. That is the next thing on our agenda, so. Mr. Ruda.
So we're asking for, if you've had a chance to read it, if you're ready to give me an approval on it, or if you have any questions about it, I'm happy to answer. This has gone through council. It meets my standards as well, and it just governs our use of motor vehicles in the absence of a policy that does the same.
Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Johnson?
Gonna ask a few questions and lead me into something I think is probably appropriate. Is there smoking allowed in this building?
No.
Should there be smoking allowed in town vehicles?
No, and I believe we have a bylaw that prohibits it to begin with.
It's in a bylaw?
I believe so.
All right, good. Then we don't need it in a policy and a bylaw.
Okay.
Would that,
I mean, the bylaw and the policy work hand in hand, so if it's in one place,
The
it's.
bylaw is, think of the bylaw more like the structure, the roots of it, and then it's fine-tuned in the policy.
Okay.
I have no other questions.
That's it? You want us to strike the smoking?
If it wasn't in a bylaw that smoking wasn't allowed in town vehicles, then it probably should be in the vehicle use policy.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, do we have a motion to accept the vehicle use policy, to accept and approve the vehicle use policy as written?
So moved.
Second.
So
Okay.
just-
Discussion?
There's no date on this policy. Do we just want to add to the motion the date that it was presented or accepted? That we have a reference point to go back to if we ever have to change it. You know what I'm saying? We'll go back to the vote of. I just think there should be a date, either on the policy or the motion should reflect the date of today.
It's okay with the seconder, I'd
It,
amend the motion to say, approve the vehicle use policy as of February.
As a point of information,
Yep.
in the document itself, it does have the date of approval to be added to the employee handbook of 2/9/26.
it's like the very, very last thing.
Hang on, I just scanned it real quick. I didn't see that.
And so when we update, Madam Chair, when we
Oh,
update this,
Thank you.
this policy passes, it's included in the
The handbook.
handbook, and the handbook will reflect last updated
Yeah, okay.
Perfect.
Rev, whatever it is.
I didn't see it's above the signature page.
Yeah, like it's that very last thing. Yeah, it's all good. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. And last bit of public business. Board of Selectmen votes to to continue to retain Labor Counsel Mark Terry as he transitions to Stoneman, Chandler, and Miller LLP, or take any other action relative thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Before we move it to a vote, I just want to say that I've been very happy with the correspondence that we get from Mark Terry as our labor counsel. I'm glad that we are, at least able to retain him, even though he's switching up where he's working out of. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Next up, Town Administrator's Report. Mr.
Thank you,
Ruda.
Madam Chair. I'll try to go through it quickly. Because of the recent snow events, they caused us to cancel our last meeting. I wanted to flag where we are with the snow and ice line item. And this gets MJ off the spot. As of the beginning of February, the highway snow removal line item was budgeted at $110,000 and is currently at $112,000 spent. So we're $2,573 over. And of course, the board remembers we approved the ability to overspend that account. That doesn't include that last event that we just had. So as we go into deciding on our FY27 budget, I just wanted to flag that for you, let you know that that's coming. We'll probably end up doing something similar to what we did last year, which was to take it out of free cash at the beginning of next fiscal year and cover that amount, depending on where we end up at the end of this year. The Highway Department continues to operate with reduced staffing, and I want to commend the Highway Superintendent for the work he's done, both individually in keeping his team motivated and getting the job done for residents during a very challenging winter. And I actually wrote this on Friday. Mr. Johnson contacted me today and mentioned how good and how the roads look and how hard they've been working. So I know that's universally echoed by the Board of Selectmen. So we'll stick with the snow and ice for a moment. Olivia and I met with legal counsel and the police chief and Justin, our new health agent, to begin drafting a possible town meeting article for the board's consideration. The goal is to add an enforcement mechanism to the existing town bylaw that already requires property owners to keep sidewalks clear of snow and ice and debris. And we continue to receive complaints about uncleared sidewalks, and without enforcement authority, the town really has no way to address it. And again, this isn't about punishment. This is just about creating a situation where we don't have public safety risks where people can't get through the sidewalk. They have to go into the street. They have to walk in the street. They walk in icy streets with low visibility because of the snow that's piling up. So I'm going to draft up a bylaw that hopefully addresses that, provides an enforcement mechanism for people who are not able to, after being educated and asked nicely and told about the bylaw, and maybe help if we certainly can, because I know there's not everybody can get out there and shovel their sidewalks. At some point, we have to put a mechanism in to enforce it for those who just are simply not going to do it for public safety reasons. So we're going to draft a bylaw for the Board of Selectmen to consider in the coming months. I've asked the town accountant to place all the initial departmental requests onto a master spreadsheet. That's the same spreadsheet we use every year. It's available in the OneDrive. You may have hopefully seen it, but it's in there. I've shared it with the FAA today in advance of the joint meeting with the school committee on the 11th, so they'll have a chance to look at it. It's nothing that any of us have really sat down and spoke to department heads too much about. It's just we took the raw numbers, the raw requests, we put it on the spreadsheet, just to give you an idea as to what the requests are as it stands now. We've already talked about the finance policies. An update for the health insurance, an IAC update. The Insurance Advisory Committee is getting close to making a recommendation to the board. They're waiting on a potential quote from Maya and updated numbers from NFP as we approach open enrollment deadlines. And we're going to get pretty quickly to the point where we have to make our intentions known to the Hampshire Council of Governments. Are we staying, are we going? What's the plan? Because April 1st is open enrollment. So that means I may have to call a special meeting depending on when we get those final numbers together and those final recommendations between now and April 1st that isn't already on the books. So I wanted to put that on your radar screen as well. It's time for the town administrator's evaluation, the progress review anyway. So generally what we've done in the past is an officer of the board works with me towards the progress reviews. I think it's been the clerk in the past and maybe the chair. So I'm hoping that, Madam Chair, you'll work with Olivia to assign someone or get that process moving.
Sure will.
And then finally, we're going to schedule an in-person ethics and governance training in March. And I'm going to strongly encourage all elected and appointed officials to attend that. And that's going to be given by KP Law. It's a free service that they do for us. It's going to focus on practical legal risks related to meetings, communications, public records, and interactions with residents. And you notice that our legal bills have been gradually going up and up and up and up. And that's because I think we're starting to make some mistakes in terms of how we conduct meetings. And I think it's definitely time for training. The last training we had, I think, was the first training that we had. And that was when I first came just before COVID, and we had KP Law come in and train everyone. It's kind of fallen off the radar screen. So I think it's time to get moving on that. So again, that'll be in March, and we'll certainly publicize that internally and ask that all board members, committee members, and elected officials make every effort they can to attend those meetings. It's only in their best interest to do it, as everyone here knows. And I continue.
Is it possible to maybe, poll some of the non-binding poll on some of the of some of the groups, so that some of the issues that have been concerns and may not be clear, they could cover, like known issues, known hot spots, or unknown resolution to some things.
I think it's a great idea, and it will be within this framework.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the board's continued engagement and collaboration as we work through this busy stretch of the year. And that's what I have for my report tonight.
So before we accept, I want to echo Jay's phone call. Apparently, I did text Jonathan and MJ, and just as an aside, I saw MJ plowing in a loader during the storm. I don't think you can find many towns where the superintendent is sitting in a loader. Previously, the superintendent, I think, had plow runs with pickup trucks. They were the cleanup guys. They did the smaller jobs. But MJ's literally in the biggest frontline piece of equipment we have, with the 5 other full-time guys and whoever else he had come in out there doing his job. So it just reflects on the caliber of person MJ is and his ethic, and I want to thank him also, and his staff, anybody that helped. And we need to crack down on the sidewalk people. We have a commercial business right on Mason Road that doesn't even plow their sidewalk, and they have disabled adults living in that house. So we need to do something on that effect, which doesn't affect the comments about the highway department. But I want to thank MJ and his crew, and we'll get the other problem fixed, people. I know it's been a hot button issue right now. Thank you. Motion to accept the report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Departmental communication. Nicole Messier, Library Director, quarterly update. Hi, Nicole. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Select Board. Nicole Messier, Library Director, best library around, just saying. Just quarterly update really quick. I think Olivia has my slides because I love my...
Olivia is attempting to get them to display.
I think you guys have them too, so do you want me to just start?
Dive right in.
All right, so we always look at our people counts. I did include January on the graph because I got a little excited. I had the data. These totals do not include January. It's July through December. We've had 26,490 people through the doors, which is 15% increase over last year and 80% increase over FY24. The next step, awesome. The next one that we were looking at is physical checkouts. This is July through December of 2025. We've circulated 32,757 physical items. This includes books, anything that leaves the library, magazines, periodicals, drills, hotspots, you name it, it gets counted. Digital checkouts is the next. We keep track of that separately because it is newer. 8,875 units, which is a 6% increase over last year, 37% increase over the previous FY24. Program attendance is next. This number we're really proud of. We've had 7,154 people attend the program at the Pearl in the last 6 months. That is a 37.5% increase over last year. Libraries are trending towards services and how we can serve the public. I was just thinking last night, I'm going off script here, so this is dangerous territory for me. We have like 45 programs on the calendar for March, 45, and that is not including all of our recurring programs. So if you haven't checked out our calendar, go to crawfordlibrary.org. We are starting our summer reading planning, so the calendar is chock full for March, April, and May. June's looking pretty good, but we got to get some focus there. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about tonight is it is legislative breakfast time. Everybody knows it's budget time, so I included some interesting information from the MBLC. Unfortunately, it's a little outdated. We were supposed to meet 2 weeks ago, but the snow got in our way. The MBLC is really focused on increasing the state aid to public libraries for FY27. They were asking for a 5% increase. Since this literature was created, Mara Healy did put in her budget on January 28th. She funded libraries across all of the accounts for a 2% increase of the $62.8 billion state budget. So when you think about it, libraries are getting a lot for their money. It's 1% of our state budget. And so I just want to read this one little blurb from the MBLC to the governor that we thank her for the increases she has proposed in her budget. They are particularly meaningful in such a difficult budget climate and at a time when libraries are experiencing all-time highs for checkouts and program attendance. Libraries know how to put every dollar to work for the people of the Commonwealth, and this funding helps ensure free, open, and inclusive access for everyone. So I thought that was says it all. We are doing a lot at the Pearl with a great staff. We would love to add more services. If we could have a bigger building, that would be great. I don't think it's coming, but we would love it. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Johnson.
Through the chair, for the changes in the state budget, the increases.
Yes.
Are there any increased requirements of the library to be fully funded in that way?
That is a great question. So we do have to follow the Mass state law for the Mass appropriation requirement, which is for the town. It's under Mass General Law, Chapter 78, Section 19A, and it states that a municipality must appropriate a figure of at least the average of the last 3 years' municipal appropriations to the library for operations increased by 2.5% in order to be certified for the state aid to public libraries. We have managed to have that every year. I think we're probably going to meet it again. I can't imagine that we're not going to. And along with having a librarian on staff and meeting the hour requirements by the state and serving the community as a whole, I'm feeling that we're going to get a nice chunk of state aid. I mean, I think it's on the cherry sheet, but I think last year the state received 20 million, and they were looking for 5%, which is 21 million. What's 2% of 20 million? Top of my head, I don't know, but there are definite requirements that the town of Dudley does meet successfully.
To the chair, so we have to increase funding by 2.5% to get 2% more from the state.
By law.
By law.
But look at all the services you get for that small amount of money.
I'm just trying to rationalize the funding. You do amazing things with the budget you have. It's, if it was 2.5 for 2.5, I think that would be, a fair game of pool. Right?
Yeah. I think that the Mass Board of Library Commissioners was hoping for a little bit more, but I think that they're going to take what they can get, They were looking for 5% for the state aid, and then I think on the graphic it showed 3% for the other funding lines, but they got 2%.
Thank you.
Or hopefully we'll be getting the 2%.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. This is incredible news. Like, I know that the library is kind of a jewel of the town, and it seems to be borne out by attendance numbers and checkout numbers and all of that stuff. So thank you and your staff.
Thank you guys.
Next up, let's do police. And it's been busy over there, so.
Just real quick to kind of go back on the snow issue. Back in November, we went out, our officers went out, gave notices to some of the cars that were parked on some of the side roads, advising them of the snow removal, emergency parking bans. Since then, they have issued tickets to a lot of the cars. They have talked to a lot of residents, and I believe this was the first weekend that we started towing the vehicles. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of upset people about us towing the vehicles, but we have given everybody plenty of notice to move their vehicles. In fact, I think one of the trucks from the highway couldn't even get by one of the streets that was blocked by one of the cars. And also, I'm pretty sure everybody's seen the news in Spencer last week about that shooting. One of our officers was there. He's on the SWAT team. Fortunately, he was not injured, but it just shows the risks that our officers are taking, not just in our town, but other towns to help out. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Chief. Next up, highway. You're good. Okay. Town accountant. All right, treasurer collector.
Good evening. So you put me at the end, and I'm anticipating having to fix a flat tire because everybody knows we had our tax takings and things like that. Real quickly, the water bills are due the same day of the excise bills, and if there's a car in your driveway, you should have an excise bill that you should be paying for. Always, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention everyone in this building being very good, directing the right people to the right place, between the town clerk, the assessors, people going upstairs, everybody getting to the right spot. A lot of foot traffic, everybody, and I'm very fortunate to be the tax collector in Dudley in that people got a bill and they have to pay it immediately. So do our best to make sure that there aren't as many lines. For what it's worth, you can pay with Unipay. You use your checking account. I paid 2 trailers, 2 cars, 1 water sewer bill, and it's 50 cents. So the best bargain, I think. And it is a direct import to into Vadar. But on another note, last Tuesday night, I got a tap on the shoulder. We had 8 Webelos come to learn about civics. There's a civics badge, and they needed to ask an elected official how things work. So we had Webelos here for about 45 minutes. Believe it or not, I could talk for that entire period of time without them squirming around. We had federal, we had state, we had what we did here. We also talked about our neighbors. My wife also had some stickers with the town seal on it, the correct seal, the nice color one that Mr. Ruda had procured some time ago. So that was wonderful. Little civic engagement. And then on Saturday, Central Mass Show Choir Festival at Shepherd Hill, they had the middle school division, and Mary Carmignani got Performer of the Day. So how can you not end on that note? So
Congratulations.
wonderful. A burgeoning star, and of course, Madam Chair is in the middle of all of that. So I hope you were tired, because it was wonderful. You made it look easy. Thank you.
Great. Ms. Anderson?
Nothing tonight, Madam Chair.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, then. Board member comments. Mr. Sullivan?
Not too much tonight. We covered a lot of ground tonight. Again, I appreciate you and Olivia including me in the hoppers, which is what I want it to be. Again, public safety, great job with the weather we've been having. People be patient, doing the best they can, and the end result is always excellent.
Mr. Sikanovich?
Yeah, I want to say the roads were good, better than good. I know people have joked before, you could tell when you crossed over into Dudley. You can't tell now. It's great. Nobody got stuck in front of my house. I could keep going on. The roads were great. Good job.
No gratuitous mailbox.
No, my mailbox is up. It's great.
Save my mailbox.
Damn, I
Great.
missed.
Yeah, and if anyone, it's up. I guess I must be voting well. The mailbox still up. Yeah.
Mr. Johnson?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No, just to reiterate what everyone's saying, that the roads are very well done with this, not qualifying it with the staff, right? This is like real winter. It's we haven't had real winter in a while, so really well done. And for those driving on these roads and not used to it, slow down and. Police and fire won't be out to visit you as often. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Sarchewski?
I intended to talk about the roads, but they're fantastic, MJ, thank you. I'm looking forward to Wednesday night's joint meeting with the school department and Charlton, as well as FAA and FinCom and Charlton, to start talking about the school budget as we really ramp up for FY27.
Thank you. I will be brief, try to be brief. As Mr. Carmignani mentioned, Saturday was the Central Mass Show Choir Festival. It was the 40th year. It was a great day. And again, like the schools traveled, I think we only had 2 groups drop out because of the weather. Everybody else traveled in and they were safe. They made it in one piece. They went home and we heard that it was a pretty easy traveling out. So again, I understand everyone has been like, yay highway, but seriously, yay highway. Thank you so much, MJ, and everyone who works for you. Like, I know it's hard, but it was important and it was great. So just a good way to like cap off the day and the weekend. The kids in district performed and were lovely. Like the Shepherd Hill kids are so talented. Dudley Middle was wonderful. Charlton Middle was also great. Highly recommend coming to see them if you get a chance to. They will do like a community performance later in the season. So that's just my like shameless plug as someone who was there like kind of helping run the day. So other than that, I think we are set. So next up, adjournment executive session to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, highway superintendent, only to reconvene into open session if required by vote.
Second.
So
Make
moved.
that motion, or does one of us have to?
I can.
So moved.
Great.
Second.
Perfect. Roll call vote.
Jay Johnson, aye.
Gary Siganovich, aye.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Chris Starcheski, aye.
Janet DeShane, aye. Thank you, everybody.